And welcome, everyone, to This is the USHL. And we are very pleased to begin our association with the U.S. Junior Hockey League, the top feeder program for college hockey around the nation. Bernie Corbett with Paul McNamara. And on our first program, we'll be able to profile one of the league's leading coaches who will be moving on to international competition as part of the World Junior Challenge. Also, a player profile of one of the top players in the league will also be part of that World Junior Challenge team. And also our alumni update, which will include a player who is currently in the American Hockey League after a standout college career. And Paul, very excited to have the opportunity to work with the U.S. Junior Hockey League. And we're going to begin in just a moment with P.K. O'Hanley, who is the head coach and general manager of the Waterloo Blackhawks.
Well, you're right, Bernie. As we've said before, the U.S. Junior Hockey League is the premier junior hockey league in the United States, and the number of kids they send on to college hockey every year is just phenomenal, and they do a great job, and they make no bones about it that it's a stepping stone, and getting the kids ready for college is job one for the USHL. Oh,
indeed it is, and USHL head coach and general manager of the Waterloo Blackhawks, P.K. O'Hanley, outstanding resume. And he has been 16 years in the USHL, his 9th year in Waterloo, over 400 wins, the most among active coaches. He is one of only 5 coaches in USHL history to surpass 400 wins, has won at least 30 games in each of the last 4 seasons and 6 of the last 8 since he has been in Waterloo. Won a Clark Club championship in 2004. That was the first in team history with none other than Joe Pavelski, one of the stars of the team. Familiar name to everybody that follows hockey at
San
the
Jose
NHL
Shark
level. Absolutely. And named coach for the U.S. Junior Select Team for the World Junior A Challenge this season. Served in the same role back in 2007 when the U.S. team finished in 3rd place, capping the tournament with a bronze medal. And now we'll try to negotiate the always elusive three-peat at the World Junior Challenge. This will be the opportunity for a team exclusively made up of USHL players,
right,
and coaches, which will be competing for supremacy once again at the World Junior A Challenge. So be an opportunity to talk to PK as he gets ready to embark on his mission to deliver the gold medal once again.
Yeah, and a great opportunity for these kids, too, to play on the world stage. They're getting ready for college. They know that's going to be competitive night in, night out. Not that the league isn't. It certainly is. And when they get to play for their country and play against the kids their age from around the world, it's a great thrill.
Oh, indeed it is. And we're very pleased and thrilled to talk to P.K. O'Hanley. And P.K., the head coach and general manager of the Waterloo Blackhawks. And pleasure to meet you, so to speak, on the phone as a veteran college hockey play-by-play man at Boston University. I know that Waterloo has been a top feeder program. I believe you had a guy named Peter MacArthur there not so long ago.
Thanks for having me.
Just talking about your resume, PK, and you've been one of the true veteran coaches of the USHL, 16 seasons in the league, 9 in Waterloo. And I was mentioning the fact that my 25 years as the play-by-play man at Boston University, we've seen many that have come through that Waterloo Blackhawks program have come down and played at the Hockey East level, and we've had a few that have also passed through the ranks at Boston University.
Well, we've been fortunate to put some guys on, and I think the league is continually growing and putting players on to major college hockey, and that's our goal.
Coach, we want to talk a little bit about your team, but before we get to that, 16 years in the league, you've seen this league go from a regional group where a lot of the kids, frankly, went to the Western schools or the schools in the Midwest, to now the point where certainly every Division I coach, all 58 guys, and a lot of the D3 coaches as well, look to your league as the premier it's not a waiting ground, it's a competing
training ground, yes,
a training ground to play college hockey, and that's going to be great for someone who's been in the league that long. But certainly you've got perspective on that.
Well, I have been around a long time and had the opportunity to work with...
That's a compliment, by the way, Coach. That's a compliment.
That's right. We've been around a long time, too.
Sometimes it isn't. We don't know where it goes.
We're not undergrads here.
That's right.
I've had a great opportunity to see the league grow and be part of the growth, I hope, in a positive way. And I think the biggest thing I've seen and maybe heard that maybe most people, might appreciate, might not, but the amount of former players that played in the old days that come back and see the new USHL, and they're a lot of them to a man like, wow, I couldn't play today. That's probably a true statement in a lot of guys' cases, and it's certainly not negative. It just was what it was. But the speed I think is faster. I think obviously the competitive physicality of the league is. Some of the old guys say we played in the hardest time, but yet the continuous pounding I think that happens now, just with the waves and waves and waves of attack, is a lot different than the one or two fights that might have happened per game, if you get what I'm saying. And it's just a great league. And all that being said, every guy that's ever played, that either for me or that I've known I played against, they wouldn't trade the experience to play in the USHL for anything in the world.
Yeah, it's. I think to your point, there's so many more kids playing in so many areas of the country. There's so much more depth. You could probably remember the times when, your first and second line were the guys you depended on for 80 or 90% of your scoring, and now there's, your fourth line guy was expected to be somebody that was going to provide some muscle, and now it's every kid can skate or he's not going to be there.
Absolutely, and I think the skating part is probably the biggest thing, and to give you perspective, I remember going into Boston and Boston University's old rink and watching Marty Reisner play and trying like heck to get him to come to North Iowa. That's how long I go back. He's getting towards the end of his NHL career, but
yep.
That's how different it was. So, and there was 10 of us fighting for him at the time. So it was a different time.
Well, let's talk about the league this year too. Right now, you guys are in your Waterloo club it's in fourth place, but obviously it's very early in the season, and you've got a couple of games in hand on some of those teams around you. But you had kind of a breakout win last week with 7 goals from 7 different goal scorers, according to the sheet that I've read. And just perspective, it looks like you haven't gotten out of the gate at home with a 1-2 record, but you're undefeated on the road.
And that's new territory for us. Usually, where we seem to have been okay at home, and at this time of year struggle a little bit on the road. But I like our team. I think we've got a good group of kids, and obviously I'm not going to be there for the next 2 weekends with 3 or 4 at home, so I challenged them, and maybe I'll just have to coach on the road, and my assistants will have to coach at home if they have some success.
I'll have to go with a 2-platoon system, Coach. That'll be innovative.
Well, yeah, you never know. We'll do what works.
With your tenure, you could call that. There's no problem with that.
That's right. No one will question you.
I don't know if... my boss and I are probably the most superstitious people in the world, so I don't think he'd question it as long as it was successful.
Talking to P.K. O'Hanley, coach and GM of the Waterloo Blackhawks. Coach, let's talk about some of your players. Some guys that, you've got, I think, 9 or 10 kids or 11 kids already committed to D1 programs. Talk about some of the personnel you have this year at Waterloo.
We kind of got a team of, I don't want to say no names, but names that I think are going to continually emerge. And I think if you look at our goalkeeping, it's probably a big reason for our early success. You look at C.J. Mott, who just recently committed to Ferris State, who's, to me, got staggering numbers. And if you look at his last 22 games last year, you'd see pretty much the same numbers. And he's been terrific, and I think has a chance to be a pro someday. And then we have Jay Williams, who's committed to Miami, and Jay went into Muskegon the other night and absolutely put on a clinic in the first period. He made some saves that I think people are still wondering how he made them, and we're pretty excited about those two guys. And I think it starts there. You know, those two guys for me are you know, you guys have been around the game long enough to know you have goaltending, you're an okay coach. If you have great goaltending, you're a great coach. And if you don't have goaltending, you're not a very good coach.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Well, so you're blessed with those two, and obviously some pretty good defensemen and some great forwards too. Anybody taking the scoring load on their shoulders early on, Coach?
You know, we've got a couple guys that I think have been dynamite early on for us. Actually, a few. You look at Luke Hannon, a kid that played in the Eastern Junior League and finally came out to us as having all kinds of success early on, finding the back of the net, and a terrific kid. Mike Montagna, same. They play on a line together and really doing well. And then we got a young guy by the name of Vinny Hinestroza out of Chicago, 94 birth year, that is just dynamite. He's not big, but he finds a way to get points, and he doesn't have an off switch. He just goes and goes and goes, and he's a competitor, so it's a lot of fun.
And he's one of those kids that it's getting earlier and earlier as they commit, but he's indicated he wants to play up at Notre Dame in the new building at South Bend and skate for the Irish.
It's a great get. You're talking to their staff; they're excited about him, and you know, he's a great student. And I think, obviously, being from Chicago with Notre Dame's proximity, and obviously what they're building there, you know, I think there's going to be great things for that young man down the road, and certainly with Notre Dame, and hopefully with us.
Right.
Oh, indeed, Coach. And we want to wish you the best of luck, and want to have you back again to report on the World Junior Challenge, which is coming up. And little pressure. I know you're going for the three-peat, and it's a team that, as we mentioned, is entirely made up of USHL players and coaches. And best of luck there in the tournament. I know that's a highlight of the season for you.
It is. It's pretty exciting working with a great staff, and Luke Strand and Justin Lyle, and we've got some good kids, and obviously what Mark Carlson and his staff have done the past couple of years, we're going to try to do it again. So we're excited about it and love to be back on the show with you guys to talk about it another time.
Thanks very much. BK O'Hanley, our Coach's Corner guest here on This Is the USHL. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you very much.